let's first talk about the effort that you have started. When did you start this, and what was the reason behind you starting this?
We formally started, we've been 501c3 approved for about a month now. However, this past Christmas, this was something we wanted to do sooner, but because of COVID, this past Christmas was the first one that we actually did it. It all started with filling up Christmas stockings with items such as toiletries like lotion or toothpaste, toothbrushes, little notebooks with pens, paper, Kleenexes, snacks, all that kind of stuff. And we filled them up with Christmas stockings. And then 2 days before Christmas, my husband and I drove up to Mercy and Rogers and Willow Creek there in Johnson, and we delivered those Christmas stockings to the parents in the NICU, just as a little something to provide a sense of normalcy in a seemingly not so normal time. That was our experience. We had a very traumatic pregnancy along with traumatic delivery and following 6 weeks in the NICU with this is actually our second set of twins. They were identical. The first set is fraternal. After 5 years of infertility, we had those. And then never in a million years thought I could get pregnant on my own, let alone with twins again. The second set of twins are identical, which identical twins come with a large possibility of complications. At 16 weeks, they were diagnosed with twin-to-twin transfusion syndrome. And within 36 hours, we were in Kansas City, where the three of us, me and my two boys I was pregnant with, underwent, it was about a 3-hour operation where they went in and tried to correct the twin-to-twin, which was an oversharing of blood and nutrients and oxygen between each other. During the surgery, unintentionally, the membrane dividing them ruptured, which was making them now what we call mono twins, which is the most dangerous of all types of twins, because there's risks of cord entanglement, or all it takes is like one of them to lay their elbow on the umbilical cord of the other for a couple of minutes, and cause, lifelong effects of things like that. So we were just living really moment to moment at that point. And then at 20 weeks, my water broke with them. We were sent home to prepare for the worst, because we were not at viability at that point. However, it didn't happen. At 24 weeks, we talked with my MFM, and then we talked with the NICU teams here in Arkansas and with the ones there in Kansas City who did the surgery. We decided that it was best that we relocate, and I was admitted up there in Kansas City at 24 weeks. In the event that they were born, that NICU could handle, 2 babies born that early. So 24 weeks to 28 weeks went by. I was still pregnant with them. At 28 weeks, we had the blessing of all the different doctors involved to come back to Arkansas. My mother-in-law found a house she rented out. We just packed up the whole family and moved up to Kansas City to be under their care. Then at 28 weeks, we came back to Arkansas. And then at 32 weeks, I had an abruption where I delivered the boys due to an emergency C-section. The delivery room was quiet. There were no cries. I kept, asking, if they were okay, because I could tell that they were out, but, nobody, you didn't hear anything. It was the most terrifying moment of my life. It should be one of the happiest moments of your life when your children are born, but it wasn't. So one of the boys was born with severe pulmonary hypertension, which was a result of the twin-to-twin. He ended up having to be transported to Willow Creek, where he was put on a jet ventilator, paralytics, and nitric oxide to help try to get the blood flow going back into his lungs so that he could breathe. During that time, while we spent 6 weeks there in the NICU with them, I realized I wanted to do something. At the time, I didn't know what that was, but I wanted to do something to take all that nervous energy that I had from our experience and build it into something that could ease the experience of the babies and the families, and hopefully bless all the incredible nurses and doctors and everybody that was involved in saving really all three of our lives over and over again. And after we delivered that first set of stockings, which it was my twins were born on December 23rd. So we spent all of that time at Christmas through the hospital. And it's hard because it's like you want to be there with the holidays and be happy and joyous, and you're not. And it's really hard to go through that. So we started with the Christmas stockings. And after the first of the year, this past year in 2022, I realized that I had, I really wanted to make this bigger, and I wanted to grow this and turn this into something that wasn't just a once a year project, but, make it as much as I could, which it's just mostly just me operating this. And like I said, I've got two sets of twins at home. They're ages 4 and 2 at this point. So I don't have a whole lot of time, but everything that I can devote, I want to pour that into this project and help the parents with easing that transition. And we've teamed up with Mercy's NICU there in Rogers, Willow Creek there in Johnson, and Washington Regional here in Fayetteville, where our goal is to not only supply the parents with care packages year round with just like little bags and stuff like that, little activity books for them to help pass the time, pens and paper for them to write down notes while the doctors are rounding, or if they think of questions, different types of snacks, toothbrushes, toothpaste, lotion, books to read to their babies while they're in there. But we also want to help the NICUs there. There's a handful of items that the staff there at each individual NICU has requested of stuff that would be really helpful. One of those things that the staff in Mercy at Rogers has requested is it's a NICU octopus, is what they call them.
Explain that now, because there's a specific use for that, or a specific reason to have those.
Yes, so it's a little crochet. I should have grabbed one. I don't have one, but it's a little crocheted octopus that's got little tentacles along there. And the idea is that the babies will grab a hold of these octopus. It gives them something to hang on to, as opposed to hanging on to their tubes and lines that are, feeding tubes or something, and pulling them out. So it's a huge help, to not have to worry about them doing that. It doesn't always work, but it is a huge help, and the nurses there love having those there. So one of the things that I have been kind of crowdsourcing along other people, I personally don't crochet, but trying to find the help from others that do and can create these little octopus so that we can go up there and deliver them. They are, unfortunately, with the COVID restrictions, they are single use. They cannot be sanitized. So this will be an ongoing need that we will need consistently throughout the time, since they will go home with the babies and won't be able to be used again.
So for those who do know how to do this, what's the best way or the easiest way for them to get them to you so that you can distribute those?
I can provide a mailing address. You can message me through, you can find that through the website. It's rathbros.org. I've got a Facebook group as well. Or you can drop them off at my husband's work. He works at Rath Mitsubishi there in Springdale. He's kind of a point of contact there on that. That's where we've been doing a lot of the deliveries, because a lot of the moms that are doing this are coming from Bella Vista. We even got some that are up in Missouri that are getting involved in this as well.
There was a video that I saw on the Facebook page that had a whole table full of these toiletry items. It's become a pretty popular thing that you've created, it sounds.
It is. I didn't really expect it. It was one of those things that my husband and I originally just decided that we were going to do that personally, kind of to honor the experience that we had with our boys. And when it got a little bit closer to time, I posted something on Facebook last year, and we had people from all over the country sending us, Venmoing us or doing whatever to help, go to Sam's Club and buy all the items. We had friends that knew a dentist, and they were contacting them, and we were getting donations of huge boxes of toothbrushes and toothpaste that the dentist had. It blew up in a way that I really didn't expect it to. And all of these moms are pouring out their stories and their experiences with having their babies in the NICU. Not we had that experience, and it's one of those things that's special to us, but you don't realize how many other people have gone through that same experience or something similar to it. And when you've been in those shoes, you want to help, and help the new moms that are right there with us, doing that. So we have had a tremendous amount of support that we've been overwhelmed by. Something we did not expect it to blow up the way that it has. um, like I mentioned, we've only recently gained that 501c3 status, and now is the point where I have been kind of trying to push the goals, because we've got, wanted to be compliant with everything that we were doing, and the support and everybody. I almost can't keep up with the amount of support that we've had. It's been incredible.
How are the twins, both sets these
Uh,
days?
they're good. The girls, our first set of twins are 4.5, and the boys are 2.5. They're thriving, they're healthy, they're rowdy into everything, doing everything they're supposed to be at 2.5.
What kind of response or feedback have you gotten from some of the parents that you've actually helped out?
It's been, everybody is just, everybody is so kind and so grateful and appreciative and eager to see where this is, because at this point everything has been so small, and the nurses that work for the NICU too are just uh, so eager to work with us and so happy and so helpful. One of we actually have two different nurses that were nurses for our boys while they were in the NICU, are actually board members for the nonprofit. So they're working right alongside us, helping us get statistics of, projections of how many babies are being there, throughout the fiscal year, and different things like that. So we know what to expect for our fundraising campaigns, as well as the exact needs of things that they can and can't use. Things are a little bit trickier, and they're navigating those as well with the different COVID restrictions of uh, sanitation. So different things that they have had in the past, they can no longer use. So it's been great to have all of the outside help of parents, past and present, as well as staff members that are there in the hospitals.
Where does it go from here? How big could this get?
I have a lot of really big long-term goals. I am at the mercy of all the 4 kids that I do have in my home right now. I some of the things that I do want to grow next on is I'd like to reach out to some therapists or counselors that can provide some immediate tips, maybe for the parents who, particularly parents who found themselves unexpectedly in the journey of being a NICU parent, that could help them cope and grieve, as well as provide those connections with someone who does specifically work with similar situations, find somebody to go through. So that's kind of one of my next steps that I'm hoping to get, as well as maybe any restaurants or coffee shops nearby the hospitals that would provide some kind of maybe a discount to them, connections to go get a cup of coffee when they need a break or need to step out of the hospital for half hour, go grab some lunch, different things like that. I think those are going to be our next goals for that. But as far as big, if we're just throwing everything out on the table with my dreams and goals, I would love to one day, wipe the hospital bills clean for parents. That would be, I think the financial and the mental burden of having a child in the NICU is probably two of the biggest struggles. And if we could find a way to eliminate both of those things, that would be, the ultimate goal. I don't know when or how I'd be able to actually attain those things, but if we're just, throwing it all out there, that's what I would ultimately love to be able to do.
All right, give me that website again, and I'm sure there's all kinds of information on the website.
Okay, yes, it is rathbros.org.
All right, Kayla, thank you so much for joining us. This is an amazing program, and it can only get better.
Thank you, I appreciate it.